Scott,
All
aka
right,
Carrot Top.
good morning.
Welcome to the How to Be a Redhead podcast. We're so excited to have you
If,
on.
if there's ever been a podcast that I should have been on, is this
This
one.
is it.
This
I mean,
is it.
these are our people.
These are.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, right? I mean, to be a redhead, where do you start?
Where do you
I know.
start?
Well, that's the first question we wanted to ask. What was it like for you growing up with red hair?
It was horrible. I mean, seriously.
It was horrible
Well,
for
no,
you?
you know what? It wasn't horrible. I'll tell you the absolute truth of it. So when I was born in a beach town. So imagine every kid I knew has blonde hair and they were tan and they were surfers, and then there's me. So I'm like, do I belong in not only this community? Do I belong with these people? Are they going to be? I mean, I'm just stuck out like a sore thumb. That was just, there's Scott with his red hair and his freckles, and everyone in that town was looked like a clone of a movie. And then there was me. So I mean, it worked out to a degree because I stood out, and that's kind of how I got into comedy, being the oddball. Being the redhead was always the oddball out. So when they would pick on me, I would go pick on them first. So they didn't have a defense, and so they'd be like, "Oh man." So that's kind of how I was not picked on, because I hate using the word picked. I wasn't picked on. I was just, and not made fun of. I was like whatever you call it as a kid, just the one that didn't stand in. I stood out. So I used that as my defense mechanism to try to make me feel better about being that guy. So that's kind of how I got into comedy, was trying to be defensive to people. And now it's my whole act. I mean, now it's the whole act. Like, I look like this.
No, I mean, you are iconic. I feel like I was just telling
Oh my
Stephanie,
God.
one of my earliest childhood memories was with my dad in our living room laughing at you with one of your props. It was with a tennis racket, and you
Yeah.
were so funny.
Yeah.
And I just remember laughing with my dad, like just having such a good laugh. And my dad's a redhead too, and we were just like, we just
Yeah.
thought it was the best thing ever that you had
Oh.
red hair. But you mentioned growing up in a surf
Oh,
town,
good. Yeah.
right? So you grew up in Florida.
Yeah. Yes.
And so did you always want to do comedy? Or did you ever want to dye your hair? Or like, what was that like?
Oh, I always wanted to dye my hair. I used to put in this stuff called sun in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm like in my bathroom with this thing of sun in, and I'm gonna be a blonde kid today. So I do it all. I mean, it turns orange. I mean, it turns not even this. It's just bad. And my mom came home from work and she was like, "What the?" And I'm like, I was trying something out, and I always tried something. I used to get black, like dye like my eyebrow. I always did something weird. My mom's like, "Leave you alone. You are who you are." And I'm like, "No, I don't want to be this. I want to be something different. I don't want to be this." And then one day I just accepted it, and I just started, having fun with the fact that I am me, and that's how comedy kind of came into it. But wanting to be a comic ever since I was 6 or 7,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
I would sit in front of the mirror. I would sit in front of the mirror and tell jokes, and sit in the back of the car and just tell jokes. And my dad would look back at me like, "What the?" And they weren't my jokes. They were like George Carlin's jokes or Joan Rivers jokes or whoever's
Oh,
jokes
I
I
love
heard
Joan
on the
Rivers.
time. Yeah, whoever I heard
Mhm.
on the Tonight Show that night, I would try to copy it, and then, I mean, all the way up to to now. I mean, but it
Yeah.
started at 8, yeah, 6, 7, 8 years old for sure.
So we read that your dad worked for NASA. So
Yeah,
when you told him or told your parents that you
yeah,
wanted to go into comedy, what were their reactions?
not good. Yeah, I mean, I think
Not good.
yeah, they were not pretty happy about it. I do a bit in the show about that where I said, "Dad, I figured out what I want to do for a living." I was at a concert with my dad, and he said, "What's that?" And I said, "I think I want to be a comedian." And I said, my dad just stared at me, looked at me for like, it felt like 20 minutes. And he says, "You do know that's probably never going to happen, son." And it gets this big, quiet, like, And I said, "It's probably right, but why would you say that to your son?" So then I call it back later. I said, "So if you don't want me to be a comedian, Dad, what do you want me to be?" And my dad says, "You should be an engineer like your father and work at NASA and train astronauts." And I say, "You do know that's probably never going to happen. Like, it's me, the stupid son."
Yeah.
So yeah, my brother went to the Air Force Academy and flew F-16s,
Wow.
and my dad worked at NASA, and I wanted to be a comedian. So it was a fun run for sure. They weren't like not supportive of it. They weren't supportive of it. They were not happy to.
But
So
then when you got successful,
I
were they like, oh,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Right now I just happened last week let them look at me in the eyes directly. No, I got yeah, of course when you have success they're like, but I was a kid and they had no idea that this
mm,
existed inside of like Scott. They were like, who is this? And that's how the Carrot Top thing. So that came about. I was in college. That's when I left, and I told my dad I'm going to go to college, and they weren't even happy about that. And they were like, "You're going to stay here and be an engineer at NASA." I'm like, I'm dumb. I can't work at NASA, Dad. So I went to college, and started getting a degree in marketing, and I got an open mic night, and I don't even know how I got in that. My roommates thought that I was funny, and they said you should be up there doing your jokes like you do in the dorms. So I said, oh, okay. So I went down there and I went up and I did the same thing I had done my whole life.
wow.
George Carlin jokes, and just guy walks into a bar, those kind of
Yeah.
jokes. And
Yeah.
I came up and I did so well there. Everyone was like, "Man, that was great. You want to do another one next time?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, sure." So I went back to my dorm and I was just like doodling, and I don't know why, but this is God, 1985. I was I was thinking in my head, I need a logo. Like the Rolling Stones have a logo like that tongue. I need a
Hmm.
logo. So I started drawing this little logo, and I don't know how and why. There was other names I was thinking of going by, and then for some reason a carrot came in my head, and I said I think someone used to call me Carrot Top, but it wasn't like a lot of times. It was just something that I don't know, just a carrot, like a Carrot Top, and I just drew a carrot holding a microphone, and I put Carrot Top, and then the next time they had a contest, I said they bring me up as what do you want me to bring you up as? And I said Carrot Top, and the guy's like Carrot Top, and I said yeah, okay. So they said, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Carrot Top, and I came on stage with like this big orange goofy wig, which like this, but right, and like big,
Yeah.
big, like a clown wig. And there's a Carrot Top, and I walked up, and everyone's laughing because I'm wearing this stupid big red wig, and I said, "Yeah, it's funny." And then I ripped it off, and I said, "Not so funny anymore." And that was my opening line. It was like, wow, I was already self-deprecating, that I had this. They thought I had this horrible
Yeah.
orange hair, and I did have horrible orange hair. So that was the first joke, and then I would just go into, and I came off, and then I said, um, we went back to the following year again. And the guy says, "Carrot Top is," and I said, "Yeah, yeah, why not?" So I just kind of, was walking
That's how
across,
it's stuck.
yeah, and I went across campus, and some guy's like, "Carrot Top," and I was like, "Oh no, what have I done?"
So did you ever want to
No,
turn it around and just be
I
like,
mean,
I don't want it
right. I mean, it
anymore?
could have been. There was so right. There so many good names. They had Queen Latifah. I could have taken that one, but I went with Carrot Top, and then it just kind of stuck, and then it's been Carrot Top now. So it is what it is.
And we once read,
But that's how it all started. Yeah, that's how it started.
and
Wow.
so we read that you received a letter from the Redhead Association, which we don't know who we don't know who that is, about your name, Carrot
I
Top.
love
What happened?
I I love this. In fact, let me just tell you that yeah, this is great. So God Almighty, right? So years ago, I didn't even know there was a Redhead Association of America. I didn't know that. You'd think I would be, get a letter,
Yeah,
but no.
Yeah.
All of us.
all of us. We all got a
So,
Yeah.
letter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I get this letter in the mail that said Redheaded Club of Association of America of Redheads, and I just thought that was a joke, so a fan mail or something. So I opened it up and I read it. It was this really nasty letter to me. It was right, a lot of my height when I was doing a lot of the Tonight shows. There's a lot of TV, and I think I had this AT&T commercials, so I was on a lot of TV, and
Yeah.
so people were like, they said first of all, to take this moniker as they called it and make it um, a mockery of it and make it such a negative thing. We really think you're a horrible person, and knowing you're a redhead, you should change your moniker to something that's more positive. And I'm like, positive? What's negative about Carrot Top? And though it's a negative connotation to redheads if people get called a Carrot Top. I said, well, I'm making it now better than so if someone calls you Carrot Top,
Yeah.
it's got something. It's a happy thing. It's a successful thing. It's everything. And they I don't think they ever wrote back to me, but I thought they got to be insane.
So you did write back to them.
I did write back to them. I said, I think you got, I mean, I'm making, if anything, I'm hoping I'm helping redheads across America because
You are.
Yeah.
I went through the same,
You were-
you know,
yeah.
they see, like you said, one of you said earlier when you saw me on with a tennis racket, you saw a redhead,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and you're like,
Someone
wow,
that's like us.
one of our,
Yeah.
one of our own on TV. How did that happen?
And the funniest,
So,
and the funniest. So
oh,
Yeah.
well,
you represent us well.
I remember. Oh, thanks. I try. You know, I try. I do. I really do try because being a redhead, a comic redhead is a lot of. There's a lot of live it up to because you got Lucille Ball. I mean, there's a lot of
my God.
very
Icons.
successful,
Yes.
iconic redheads. I mean, that were legends. Carol Burnett. I mean, so many of them. So you wanna represent well. You know. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And were they with comedy role models? You named a
Yeah.
few, or legends. Were they your role models to get started into comedy?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I studied a lot of them. I studied, when I mean studied, like I'd actually study like George Carlin, Richard Pryor, just to sit down and actually watch it thousands of times and watch the beats and the mannerisms and the timing. Because people always say, well, they would ask me, like I would say back then, I said, you know, I have a lot of friends that were getting into comedy that they just didn't have the it. I don't know what it was, but nice guys. But I would always say, you know, their writing is brilliant, but their performance is just not. There's not. So I don't know if I taught that to myself by watching those tapes, but you can watch and kind of learn, or are you just born with it? I don't know. My dad had great timing. My dad would tell stories
Oh.
and jokes, and I would watch him, and I'd learn like how he pauses, and then of course watching Carlin and Pryor and all those guys, you'd start watching how they the cadence and the just how you and my show's changed now. If I go back and look, God Almighty, back when you saw me with the tennis racket, I'm trying to think what that joke was. I think it was a tennis racket for Monica Seles. She got stabbed in the stands, I think.
I think that's
And
right because I tried to
it
look
was.
it up last
And it
week.
was a tennis
Yeah.
racket that had, and it had a racket with a rear view mirror so she could keep an eye on, make sure no one came in. And the other side had a knife so she could attack back, but something like that. But
I loved one of your prop jokes where you found like this. It was a long device that you said you found in a dog store.
Yes, the dog thing.
Yeah, but it had like no instructions.
Yeah,
You
that's
said?
a great one. What's great about that one is it's real and they sell. So I would say this you know, I'm
It's a
not-
real device.
right.
What
I
is
said,
it?
you can buy this today at Home Depot. They still sell these, and so I hold it up. It's this big corkscrew. It looks like a big, or like
Yeah.
like if you're gonna open up a bind for a big wino. And on the tag is something just like this. It just says, keeps the dog in the yard. And I always look up at the crowd and I'm holding this thing and I'm like, well, they might want to give a little more instruction than just keeps the dog in the yard. And then you come back and there's a dog that's been twisted. I said, stay, you know, they come back later. Honey, the dog, it worked. The dog's still here. So horrible joke. And then you tell the crowd, it's not a real dog. It's not a real dog. But
Yeah, that's so funny. How
but
did
I love
you
it.
get
I
into
like that one
props?
too because see, I didn't even make it up. I mean, I just saw it and I said, that's
Yeah.
one that's observationally
Genius.
funny because I didn't even have to make it. You know, that's real life stuff. You know,
Yeah. How did
which
you
is
get
the
into
best.
props?
Which is the best in comedy. I think that's what makes the best kind of comedy for me is. I mean, the whole show now it's all evolved into things that have actually happened to me in my life, or things. So it's more fun to tell. It's not like I'm making up
Yeah.
a story about. So I have a picture of my father, you know, at the NASA in a spacesuit. You know, I've got my brother sitting in an F-16. So when I tell the story, it's kind of like, oh wow, this is cool. And they show me in, you know, an 18-teen commercial in 1986. So people kind of see where it's more of a storytelling now as it is, but it's still props. That's always my thing. I always build new props.
The props
Yeah.
are
So how did
awesome.
you get into the props?
Yeah, props. That was kind of unusual too. It wasn't, but it happened by accident, like everything. Like me being born, probably. I was probably. I
How
was.
do you?
I was
Where do you store your props?
I have them in all over people's houses in Vegas. I just asked them if they could use their garage. I put them in like a warehouse. I have
You
a big
must have a
warehouse.
Wow.
warehouse,
Yeah.
right? Because I was reading.
Oh
Yep,
my
and it's
God.
and it's not a joke. It's as big as a Home Depot. It's huge, and it's got almost 40 years of stuff,
I
and
hope it's a
Wow.
and you
museum
go through
someday,
there.
like just of all
It
your
is, and it's great
stuff.
when I go in there. It is, and I go in there and I go, oh my God, that was like the Bill Clinton podium. That thing got miles and miles of laughter. Um, Sometimes I'll go in there and I'll think of a new way to come up with something that's existing that make it more a modern day. Used to be it used to be a dinosaur on a dog chain, and it used to be Dick Cheney's dog because that was the whole deal that he was old. Dick Cheney's old. So I did the Tonight Show. I said, "Hey, Dick Cheney's walking his dog today." So now I just change it to a Biden joke, and it's funny because Joe Biden's. So here's Joe Biden walking his dog, and it's the same joke I did with Cheney, but it's just changed it into a modern day. So it's fun.
Yeah.
That is, I know.
Yeah.
I
And
read
then,
that when you first started, when it happened pretty fast, that you were touring the country in an 18-wheeler with 35 trunks full of props. So I was like, wow, if that's
wow.
how you started, you must have a warehouse full of props.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah. Well, it started. I had, that was that was the whole deal was trying to get enough things to put it. You have an opening act, you have a middle act, and you have a headliner. So, of course, you start out as opening or an MC, and I would MC, and I would do like two props, and then I'd bring up the comic, and then do two props, and then the whole key was trying to get enough to do like an opening act. So I say to my friends, I just build more stuff. Just like you would write more jokes, I'm just going to build more things
Mm.
until I have enough time to be a middle act. And so I take to say to the woman, I have like two trunks now. I can be the middle act. And I would say, like I have like 40 props and about 19 were good. And the other ones would be kind of filler. And then finally I'd have 40 good ones and 19 filler ones. So then you start getting where you can headline. Like I have like 75 really good props or jokes, same
Hmm.
equivalent.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then they would give you the chance to headline, and then of course that's how it got started. But the prop got started. I was in college, and I had already done the open mic nights, and I went to this club, and I auditioned for it. And I did what I had been doing at the college, and it's great. Looking back on it now, because I'm an idiot, I didn't know. So I go up, and it's in the middle of the afternoon at like a real comedy club. It smells like beer and vomit. I mean, it's a real club, and I'm on the stage, and I said, "What am I?" And she's like, "Just start doing your act." I'm like now or like tonight when the crowd's in? And she goes, "No, no, now." And I'm like, I mean, weird, right? So now I'm back in my dad's bathroom, and I'm going back to being 8 years old, looking me in the mirror. So I just started doing my thing, and she's laughing at me because I'm funny, but she's like laughing also that I'm doing George Carlin's jokes.
Mm.
So I get all done, and she's like, "You're funny." And I said, "Oh, thanks. Oh, that's good. That's like, I auditioned. I hope I'm funny. That's good." And she says, "But where did you get that material?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know. George Carlin, Joan Rivers, Phyllis Diller." She's like, "Oh, because I'm thinking that's not your act, right?" I go, "No." She said, "Oh, well, you are so funny. There's something about you. If you could go back and try to come up with something that's your own, and I don't know how to tell you this on your own." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She's like, "I don't know how to tell you this, but go home and create something and come up with something that's about you." And so that's when I started the redheaded wig thing. Was I had that.
Hmm.
I had that one already, and that made her laugh. And she says, "After that, you need help." So I went back to my. This is all true. So I went back to my dorm room, and I'm sitting there after I'm looking at my logo. And my friend says, "What is that?" "It's my logo for my comedy act." He says, "You don't have an act." I said, "I know, but I have a logo, so at least that's done." And the hard part's
The
over. I
hard
got the
part's
logo.
over.
Yeah. Now
Nothing
I can
else
just
to
be
do.
a comic. Yeah. Now I can just work on jokes. The logo, exhausting. So, and the weird thing that I'm being a marketing major, that was what I was thinking. Marketing and the Carrot Top and
Hmm.
the branding. So I was ahead of the game on that. As anyway, I'm sitting there with my logo and my roommate, and I remember we had a neighborhood crime watch sign one night. We were all drunk and we went out and we stole it, and I put it on the wall.
Oh yeah.
And I'm looking at it. I said, that could be funny. And so I went back to the lady, um, and she said, "What do you have?" I said, "I only have one, but I'm going to see if I'm on the right track." And she said, "Okay." So I walked up and I had the neighborhood crime watch sign in my big metal neighborhood. And I said, "Sorry, I'm late. I was in the neighborhood." It gets a laugh. And then I said, how good is our crime watch if they're not even watching their signs? They're supposed to be watching the neighborhood, but I'm out there undrilling a sign. And she's like, "That is great, and it's clever, and it's visual. Oh my God, I love that." And that's yours, right? I said, "Yeah, I stole it after. Just great. Keep thinking about that." And I didn't. She didn't say props. She just said, "Keep thinking your own clever kind of idea on how to present something." So in my head, I thought visually is funny. So I went around town and I found all these signs. I mean, I had like 8
You
signs.
stole.
Yeah. And well, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. I stole one. And then I said, I can't steal these because I just can't. So I went to like Michael's Crafts and I made signs that looked like, I painted the yellow and orange. I made them out of cardboard. But the first one, besides the crime watch, was real and I stole it. And then there was a street that went right through Boca Raton, where my college is, and everyone knows the street that's called Butts Road. So I said, "Butts Road is where all," and that was the dumb joke. So I got the crime watch, the Butts Road, and then I went and made these signs like a hold the sign and tell the joke, and then flip to the next one. So um, there was one that said that one that started with that, and then I had one that said "slow children at play," and everyone's seen the sign. I said,
Yeah.
"Here's one here that makes no sense. It says slow children at play. If you look at the thing, they don't have any feet." I said, "No wonder they're slow. They don't have any feet." And that's really true. If you look at the signs, they never have feet on them. They're just stick figures. So I said, "That's why they're slow. They don't have any feet." So she said, "Oh my God, this is it. You got a good little clever. It's like a little thing, show and tell."
They don't have
And
any
I just
feet.
started putting together all these road signs, and then that's how the props became into. Then I started coming up with all kinds of ones. Living in
Wow.
Florida, there's a lot of old people. You never saw their head when
Yeah.
they drove, so that was one of the first props. It was an old lady's head on top of me, so you could see her head when she was driving, and it killed in Florida. People were like, "This guy's genius, man. Where are you coming up with this stuff?" And I just kept writing and writing and writing and building and building.
Redheads, have you heard?
We aired on ABC's Shark Tank, episode 14, season 15. We are busy developing products and continuing to grow this incredible redhead lifestyle brand.
Check out our mascara and eyebrow products in red hot shades, hair care, merch, lifestyle items, and so much more. Redheads, we can now rejoice.
Finally, there are products for us.
Use code podcast to get 15% off your next purchase. Shop at shop.howtobearedhead.com. Can I ask you too, like, what was it like with the sunburns in Florida growing up? Like, was it insane? Because now you're in Vegas, which is just as hot. But as a redhead,
Oh my God.
I try to. Yeah,
Do you go
I
outside?
try to stay out of the sun
Yeah.
now, but when you're young and you're surfing
I
and you
know.
want to, you don't think about it, and then you get home and you're like, "Oh wait, I'm not supposed to be out there. I have red." If I just walk on the beach, someone will say, "You got to something, put something on." They're concerned they're already concerned about me.
That is so true. Everyone's always like, you look like you're burning. You look like you're burning.
Yeah, don't go out there. Don't go out there. But
I know,
live in Vegas now.
Yeah, I know. Which
So you got-
is so amazing. You've had a residency in Vegas since
18
2005.
I know. I should be napping.
Wow. And you do 6 nights a week?
Yeah.
Is that true? Wow.
Yeah.
How do you get the energy?
It's you know what? It's something I can't even answer because it's just I am born. I don't know. I don't even think about it. Everyone says it. Even other entertainers say to me, "How you do that?" I'm like, "Well, you're an entertainer." I mean, I've had people
Yeah.
ask me how to do what I do, and there are people that have been doing it longer than me, and I'm like, "You're asking me?" And they're like, "Yeah, like, 'cause you've been doing it 18 years at the Luxor. How do you do that?" And when there was a band that came through and they did like a mini residency, they were there for like 2 weeks, and I guess they just couldn't handle it for 2 weeks.
Mm.
And
Oh my gosh.
the lead singer came to me and he was like, "How do you do this, man?" And I was like, and everyone's looking at me and I'm like, "Well, you know more than me. You're asking me, like, this is weird. He's like, no, I don't know how to do it. I do a show and then we go off for a month and I go out and do 2 weeks and then we go and take a month off. I'd never done back to back night to night shows. I'm losing my mind and my voice. And how do you do it? And I said, I don't know. I didn't have an answer for him. I said, I get up and the music comes on and it's showtime.
It gives you energy, though.
like,
It must give you
yeah.
energy to
Yeah,
go out there
um,
and like you love it. You have to love
yeah,
it.
and try something and always know you have one new thing a night, something you want to try or
Mm.
it's fun. Yeah, it's fun, and every night's a different crowd, and it's fun. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say I never get, exhausted and tired, and like, but you find a way when you get in the car and you're on the way down to work. You're just like, it's time to go to a show.
Has there ever been a time on stage, sorry, where you've completely blanked?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
everybody's had that. Yeah. Um. Yes, everyone's had that, and I've been at shows where the people blanked, and I'm like, oh man, I've been there. Um.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen often, thank goodness. I
You're a
mean, I've done it
professional.
long
You've
enough
been doing
now.
it long enough.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I've done it long
For
enough
so
where
long,
I've got
18 years.
yeah, I have a general outline that I have in my head, and then I can dance in and out of it. So if I want to do a new joke about the Kentucky Derby or whatever just happened, or golf
Hmm.
or NASCAR or whatever, I have an outline, and then right when I start talking about sports, I'll say to myself, oh, it's a good time to try that. Do the golf thing now, then do NASCAR, then go back into baseball, and that takes you
Mm.
back into so there's an organized mess, and then you can kind of, but you also, as people that have been to my show know, with comedy, there's always something that you don't have control over, and that's the crowd.
I was gonna
So
ask about the crowd.
I don't get heckled. I don't
Mm.
get heckled often because I'm Carrot Top. I've been doing this so long that they're mostly fans.
Yeah.
And if in a true heckle, I haven't had ever in years. But I might get someone that wants to play, help out, and or just say something after every
Right.
joke, like yes, right. And
Oh.
I'm like, these are just hypotheticals. So you don't have to answer every
Oh,
one
you're
of them.
saying how about means that they talk after you say something?
Yeah, or just something. Or
They
they're,
want
they're
to. They
drunk
want
and
to.
they yell
Yeah.
something
Oh,
out.
I thought you meant someone comes on the stage. I was like, oh my
Well,
gosh.
we've had that before. They're usually taken off pretty quick.
Super
But I've had
fans.
that. Yep, that's super fans. We have a lot of super. We have a lot of them. In fact, that's what's great about my fans. I mean, we probably have over, geez, 30 or 40 people that have Carrot Top tattooed on them.
Do they really?
Oh yeah, I mean like full on. And we had one. It was great.
You
We
have
had
to
one
love
the
that
other-
though. That is so
No,
cool.
Yeah.
I put it on my Instagram, but when I do it, I say, "So you sure?" And they'll, yeah. And I so like this last week, this guy said it's on his leg, so I'm down on his leg, and I'm like, "Are you sure?" I mean, it could be something cool, still, if you tell me now, but it's gonna be Carrot Top if you don't tell. I mean, it can be Taylor Swift still if you want it to be, So no, Carrot Top. So Carrot Top. I said okay, but. Yeah, the best one ever though was this girl, and she's a pretty girl, and she had a tattoo of her carrot like on her forearm right here, and then she's in the front row, and I just go to her and I said something about fans, and I said, how about you? You've been to the show how many times? And she said, and I said, show everybody your tattoo. So she turns around and well, first I said, show me your tattoo. And she has a Carrot Top tattoo. I know, right? Like, and I'm making jokes like, yeah, red team, move in, keep an eye, And all of a sudden she goes to stand up, right? And I'm like, what is she doing? Because her tattoo's on her arm. She goes, oh, I wasn't going to show it, but I guess, okay. I'm like, what are you doing? And she takes her pants and she has what do they call that?
Tramp stamp.
Tramp stamp?
Tramp stamp.
A tramp stamp. But not a tramp stamp, the size of this my hair tie. Like, okay. It's like a donut, right?
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, I've never seen it. I don't know, I'm not aware of this, right? So I'm just, no, it's on your arm. It's all happening so fast. What are you doing? And she turns around and she shows her thing, and I go, wait, show me. And then she shows me. I'm like, when'd you get that? And she's like, I was gonna surprise you. I'm like, well, you surprised me. And everybody's like horrified. Like, not only is it like, it's not even like a little Carrot Top. It's like right there. So it gets better. So she came 2 nights in a row to the show, and
Wow.
yeah, we get some to come all week in a row, and so we
Wow.
get there's a guy in the Army, and he's sitting one seat over from her the next night. And I said, have you guys met? And I'm just being funny because he said he was single. It was his birthday. I said, have you met? Have you guys, you're single. Have you met? And I'm like matchmaker. I said, I'm like the matchmaker. I'm going to make you guys, put you guys together tonight. You're both your birthdays and you're single.
Wow.
So they do. They go out that night and they hook up and they have drinks. Not a joke.
Wow.
He comes back. They come back the next night. They're sitting together now in the front row. And I said, oh my God, did you? And the crowd doesn't know. I said, did it work out? I hooked you guys made it out together. And yeah, his arm around her and a kiss. I said, I made this happen, everybody. Last night they were at the show and I made them happen. So you guys are still together. You're still happy. That's good. It's only been 24 hours. And then I said, I had to say it. I said, oh, a tattoo? Everybody said, oh, I shouldn't say that. The guy's like, he looked at that thing like all night. If you catch me, you know what I mean? Like, I'm no, I feel so bad. I mean, you had to,
Wow.
I wonder if they're still together.
You saw me you had to look at me all last night, throughout the night, in the morning probably, and now you're looking at me again. Oh, I'm so sorry.
You have to admit, though, there's something about the Vegas.
Sitting there in bed, like, looking at me the whole time, like, this is a little challenging looking at your top. I'm trying to keep it together.
There's something about the Vegas crowd. Don't you agree? Like, it has to be the best crowd for you to perform at all the time. I mean, they are characters, people who go to Vegas. And, I just feel like there's a lot of energy when you're there. Redheads, have you heard?
We aired on ABC's Shark Tank, episode 14, season 15. We are busy developing products and continuing to grow this incredible redhead lifestyle brand.
Check out our mascara and eyebrow products in red hot shades, hair care, merch, lifestyle items, and so much more. Redheads, we can now rejoice.
Finally, there are products for us.
Use code podcast to get 15% off your next purchase. Shop at shop.howtobearedhead.com.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy people, and then there's a lot of. I mean, it's weird. Vegas is one thing, and then I just went on the road and we did some road shows. And the difference, people say, what's the difference? Well, the road shows are actually like fanatics. The people wear carrot top shirts and they have tattoos and they get babysitters and they're there. Vegas some nights, they come specifically to see you. But the Vegas crowd, some nights you get out there and like, is anyone here just because they couldn't get in to see? Oh, seriously, what is the deal? Because you can just tell there's not like some nights. Like last week, right before I went on vacation, the last show we did was the Rolling Stones were playing that night.
I saw that's
across
so
the
cool.
street at the stadium.
That's amazing.
So it's a great, the first line out is important. So we're all the people that couldn't get into the Stones, aren't we? A bunch of losers. Look at this, because this. And I'm wearing a Rolling Stone. I said I wanted to go too, but I had to go to see. So, but there's nights like that make it fun. But yeah, for sure.
And do you think that you'll just continue doing the show? Do you love it that much, or you just want to keep doing it and doing
Tonight's the last night. Tonight's it. That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
because I just feel like you have the most successful residency. I mean, I don't know. This is just amazing.
Yeah, it is crazy. Yeah, people ask, that's one of my jokes, and there's not jokes. It's not really some of the things aren't jokes. Some are just comments. I said, when I still love doing this job now because I said as I've gotten older, people used to ask me questions like, how do you write jokes? How do you come up with a joke? And now they come up with, so when are you going to retire? And I said, God, that's when I said, right after this
Never.
interview,
you can't ever. I feel like you're just going
But
to
it's so funny.
do it to the.
No, it's just so funny because they never ask you that until like all of a sudden one day people are like saying, so how long do you think you're gonna think this thing going? I'm like, well, how long do you think I can? I'm concerned. Should I quit? Because they always look like they're like, you sure about this?
No, we don't want you to stop. We just want you to keep doing it.
You feel okay? I feel fine. You sure? Yeah. Well, I felt fine till you asked me if I felt okay.
Can I ask too? We were wondering, when did you feel like you made it in your career? Like after everything you went through, right? Like all the props, like creating the act, the AT&T commercial you talked about, all of the late night shows, the Vegas residency. When were you like, I made it?
Let's see. You just answered it. That's it. Yeah. I think, it's funny because it's the first, like, I'd done some television. I'd done, well, for a comic, it was a big show. It was called Comic Strip Live, and it was in LA. It was every comic did it. And then they had like the Sunday Comics. Now, the Sunday Comics was produced by the same show, but that was like on prime time, like 9 o'clock. So it would be getting, equivalent of being on like, one of the 9 o'clock shows now, like America's Got Idol, or one of the ones that had a lot of viewers. So I got on that, and I thought, well, I'm on prime time. That's pretty cool. It's like legit stuff. But it's still, I think the day I thought maybe that I was going somewhere with it was the first Tonight Show.
Yeah.
Because every comic, wanted to be on the Tonight Show. I think it's changed now, but back then, especially before I was even doing it, every comic from Seinfeld to everybody, if you got on the Tonight Show, you made it. And so I go and I'm at the studio, and it's like, there's the gold star where Johnny Carson, and you're standing on the gold star, and you're looking at the studio, which is way smaller than you think it would be. And when you're a kid, probably holds 100 people.
Oh, wow.
It looks like it would be, a stadium, because you're at home, like, wow. So everything's just kind of, you're taking it all in, and you're standing there, and the camera guys are right here, and you're looking out. You see Freddie DeCordova, who ran all of Johnny's shows and you just kind of stop and like, oh my God, I'm on the Tonight Show. Like, I better not screw this up. So
yeah,
it's very nerve wracking. But then you do it, and you get done, and you do well, and you sit down on the couch, and you're just like, oh my God, I was on the Tonight Show tonight. So that kind of made me feel like I had done something legit, especially when you go to we go to the club back after that, you go walk into the Improv, and all the comics are there. And of course they say, you were on the Tonight Show tonight? Like,
oh,
damn.
Okay. So there's
And they would say,
competition.
like,
There's competition between
well,
comedians.
there always is, but it was always good competition, but it was kind of a nice, it was like a cool, like, with that, when you walk in the club, like, he was on the Tonight Show. I think he's in the club. Before that, it was kind of like, Carrot Top. I still get on. I mean, that's what's funny about being Carrot Top. It's part of the. I think because I did get successful, and I was different, and I think that's what makes. That's what made it fun for me, and that's the part of that I never understood when I used to get so much grief. Is when you're a really young comic starting out, back then at least, the most important thing you could do as a comic was do your own. If you were doing other people's act, you not only people knew about it, but you were like, you're nothing, you're out. You wouldn't, you're no respect, and no one's going to book you. So to do your own original thing was like, that was my big pride. I'm like, no one's walking around with a Crime Watch sign, right? No one's
Yeah.
no one's dragging a bank tube that I had. Like, this is all original stuff. Like, no one has this. This is great. And I think that what made people mad, because it would work, and it was different, and they were mad that I'd come up with something clever. And this is way early. And then as you go on, then you start getting respect from the Jerry Seinfelds and the George Carlins of the world. And then you go, okay, so I did it right. You know what I mean? But you don't know. Growing up, you want every comic to admire you and respect you, and like, wow, dude. But it didn't work that way.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like, we have so much in common. We have a Redhead logo, and we had a dream, just like you.
Yes, I love it. I love this is a weird story. So this logo is not the one I did in college, but over the career, I've had, like, I don't know, 100 different logos, and we always do them just for shirts and whatnot, just for fun, for tours mostly.
Yeah.
So I I not knowing this, I thought this was kind of cool. I said, and I have so many fans. I said, I'm going to have a contest for a logo contest and have whoever wants to come up with a Carrot Top logo, and you'll win a trip to Vegas and whatever we came up with. Or as my friend would say, when you win, you win. Oh, you win. You never have to go to Carrot Top again. But I said, let's come up with, and I didn't give any parameters. I just said to them, I want it to be real simple, but not NASCAR, not busy, not a lot of, just one symbol. I said, i.e. Rolling Stones tongue is what I put as the example, and don't send a Rolling Stone carrot, that kind of, don't rip off the Rolling Stone. Just think Rolling Stones when you come up with this. So we had, hundreds and hundreds of submissions. I was shocked. And there was some, of course, that were garbage right away. You're like, oh God, I just said don't do it. They did not. And then I'm just going through, and all of a sudden, and I look and they're like, that? And I'm like, that's it.
What was it?
It's this. And what was great about it is this is the brand. This is the one that'll be with me till I die now. So it's what I liked about it is it's a piece. I said to think of me. So I've always peace and love and
you're good vibes.
And peace and love.
Oh yeah, I love
It's got a
that.
peace sign. It's a peace sign, and it's like my dad worked at NASA, so it looks like a rocket taking off.
Yeah,
Like that's the flames, or it could be marijuana leaves. Even though I don't smoke pot, it catches your eye. And so it's got everything encompassed in one thing. So I just freaked out. I'm like, oh my God, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
It is
cool.
awesome.
And
yeah.
it's like a carrot upside down his back, because that just but that's cool.
That's really cool.
I love that.
Like the career's taking off, even though it's not taking off. That kind of
It is. It has.
It's already took off.
It
flying.
took off. Now we're trying to find a land.
No. Do you have any redheads in your family?
Not that I'm not. We had an Irish setter, actually.
Okay. That's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's it. So you don't know where you got your red hair from?
No, my mom, that was funny, because my mom, when I was a kid, my mom apparently, and my grandmother had, red hair, but my grandma's was always white. And my mom would always bleach hers blonde, even though I wasn't allowed to bleach my hair. She
bleached hers.
So that was the joke. Right? She'd pick me up at school, and they'd say, "Who's that?" I said, "My mom." And they said, "Who has the red hair in the family?" And I said, "We have an Irish setter." And my mom's like, "Don't tell them that." So then my mom would say, "Well, I do." And I said, "I'm confused." And she's like, "Well, I dye it. So it's normal. Here's a picture of your mother when she has red hair." I'm like, "Oh my God."
That's...
So you dyed it too. You didn't like it. So I'm not allowed to, but you're allowed to. So.
And then over the years, have you noticed that your hair's changed, the vibrancy?
Now it's purple and blue and green.
And what do you do? What do you do with it? Like, what is your thing? Do you do it yourself?
Do you dye it?
You dye it?
I do. I do it myself. Yeah. I just the red is the actual red I still have.
Yeah.
Left.
Wow.
And I just one day I have a lot of hair. I know.
You have a lot of red still in your hair.
I know. And then I added like purple and blue and green and then I was just in Florida, and this lady's like, "Oh, you need to put some fairy hair in your hair." So it's like tinfoil. So this tinfoil here too. So there's all kinds of going on in this mop.
It's all a part of your. It's all a part of your brand. I mean, you can't have any other hair color. You can't have anything else.
Oh my God!
Well, that's what my people they say. They get mad at me because they say, like, "Dude, your brand is Carrot Top," and I go, "My brand is what I think it is. I made Carrot Top the brand, so if it's going to be rainbow and purple and green, then that's what it's going to be." So but it's still Carrot Top enough.
Oh yeah. I love it.
I didn't do the whole thing. I didn't do it all blue. I mean, or go back to what I should have done, all green, because that's what people always say. Tops of carrots are green. Yeah.
My gosh, I know. I hate that. It's so like.
But if you break down what they mean by that,
it is true.
Carrot top. Yeah, the top of a carrot is green, but that's the carrot top. Not this is a carrot top.
Right.
Yeah.
I hate when I have to explain that to kids. I'm like, okay.
I kind of love that, like,
not you, kid. Not you, kid.
You know how so many people are like, there's so many stupid redhead jokes and names, but I love that you've turned it into such, like, it's such a positive brand. Like, when I think of you, I think funny. I think, like, you know, I just
positive.
I just think, like, I want to watch him on TV. Like, he's so funny, you know? And so I love
and, like,
that.
take me away. It's so great. And to Adrienne's point too, it's even watching, you know, you over the years and clips that we've seen online. We haven't been to your show yet. But it's nice to laugh and be taken out of your normal life.
Doesn't everyone
transport
want that?
to? Yeah.
I mean, I could have gone by Ginger Man.
You could have done Ginger, but Carrot Top is so great.
No,
I didn't like I don't like ginger or anything, which is weird. So anytime someone yells, and they're like, "Why?" I'm like, I don't know. I'm a redhead. I like the redhead but not ginger.
Yeah, I agree. There's something about the name that I don't love.
Ginger.
Yeah, I don't love it.
Yeah, ginger.
Yeah, I agree. We wanted to ask because we're big Hacks on Max fans.
Huge fans.
And, you know, we love Hannah. And she's a redhead.
No.
But I know that was super recent. We just saw it.
How was it on the show? Oh my God,
we love Jean Smart.
It was so funny.
It was so fun. And then there's a moment where I'm, you know, it's kind of like I'm a fan of the show already.
I know.
Yeah.
And I'm watching an episode, not knowing they're going to say my name, which they do a lot in a lot of these shows. He's also like, what the? But she comes, I think you probably saw it if you're a fan of the show before, not my scene, but the one prior to that. She comes out, the mom comes out, she says, "Oh God, what's wrong with you?" And she's like, "Let's leave me alone." She's like, "Oh God, let it go, Carrot Top. You can do better than him." Right? So I'm watching the show. I'm like, what the? Of course, all my friends were like, "Oh my God, that's so cool. They even think you're dating girls." So I said, well, good. So now I said to my people, you know, the Beta Carrot team, I said,
Beta Carrot team,
we gotta get on that show, because they apparently love me. I mean, they talk about me. If I'm really dating her daughter, why don't I go on and actually be on the show and date her daughter? So they came back with that idea first, and now what we're trying to do is the problem is they shoot that show like you know, all through a season kind of thing, and then all of the shows do that. So they're done with season 3, so the season 4, if we're still together, I wanted to have a scene in the season 3 there where after she tears up my bushes and all that.
Yeah.
Then I'm just sitting, you know, miserably with her daughter, my girlfriend.
Right.
And after one of her shows, and I'm on my phone or something, and she comes in and says something like, you know, "That was great, right?" And daughter's like, "Mom, that was one of your best shows." And I'm on the phone. She goes, "Was you your fucking phone and tell me how good I was?" And I said, "I didn't see it. I didn't see you. I'm sure it was good. It just gets to be kind of like not how Carrot Top would be in real life."
Right. I hope we hope to see you in season 4.
Was that really your house?
That was the first thing I said when I got to set. Literally, they put me up in the set in the van, and I said to the guy, "You know," I said, "Is that my house?" Because I look at the scene, and they said, "Yeah," and I said, "I love you." I went to the director and I said, "I love you." And she says, "What?" I said, "You know, I could have showed up to shoot this, and it was a trailer. You know, they could have made me look like I'm not successful and desperate and lost everything." But she said, "No, you're Carrot Top."
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, "I love you," because now people are going to say, "Dude, I saw your house on HBO."
You know, even Stephanie had to ask, "Is it your house?"
No, it's not mine. But
okay, so
it's a little smaller than my real house. Sorry, I didn't.
Oh, I figured, but it did look really big as a viewer on TV.
It's unbelievable. No, it's like 40,000 square foot mansion. It was unbelievable. I was like, my God, it was crazy.
Love it. I hope that you're on the next season.
I know.
I do too. Yeah, I do too. I love Hannah. We actually talk all the time. We're good friends.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. We just love her. She's so
we're fans.
We're big fans.
She is exactly who she's so sweet, and she's great. Yeah, so we've actually become friends since then. So
we were saying, because the latest episode, we don't know if you said, Christina Hendricks was in it. So we're like, wow, does the show have a thing about
redheads are funny and it's good for TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think so too. So tell us what's next for you and what are you excited about? I'm sure you have so much going on besides the amazing show in Vegas.
Besides rehab, what's next? Therapy, rehab. What else am I doing later? No, I don't know. You know what's funny about this job is you never really know. Like, there's a couple movies that are coming out that I was in, and just small things. But you never know. That's what's funny about this job. Tomorrow they could call and say, you want to be in a movie or you want to be in a show. Like, that's what you just never know. So as of now, we got a couple things in the works. We're doing the residency here. 6 more years, something like that.
Wow. Can I ask what your day-to-day is like when you have shows at night? Just out of curiosity. Like how much sleep do you get?
I actually get a lot. I get more sleep than people think. I'm a pill popper.
Okay.
So I get plenty of sleep.
A lot of downers.
And then what do you do? Do you relax throughout the day?
Yes. I mean, I try to. I mean, the day, like, it's weird because people even, I mean, I always, and I am in this business, I'm always curious what that guy does during the day. I kind of am pretty busy. I get up, I go through my hate mail. No, I get up and I kind of go, like, make some coffee, put some music on, kind of wake up, and then I usually go, because I don't get to go to dinner, so I'll usually go to lunch, and that's kind of when I kind of think of things. I'll bring a notepad. Okay. I'll kind of sit there and kind of think of things, but not write. I'm not good at writing. Like, my friends are like, what do you do? I'm gonna go and write today. I'm like, what are you gonna write? So I just kind of take it in, and if something hits me, I'm like, that's funny, and I kind of drill it down. Then after lunch, I'll go to the gym.
We were saying you're so fit.
I know.
You are so fit. I mean,
wow.
It definitely helps with your act. I mean, to be that energetic.
Yeah, I mean, I am the most in shape comic.
You are. You are. We give you the number one.
I think.
Wow.
I think me and Joe Rogan are probably the only two that really go to the gym. But in fact, that was our first question when I went on a show. Was that he's like, dude, like, because I don't know, I'm not as big as people. I thought you were bigger, and I said I did too. It's weird, but I do work out, but I'm not like crazy, man. I just do like an hour just to keep in shape, but after that, so lunch, the gym, and then it's pretty much off to the races. Go off to the show and meet and greet, sound check, show, home.
Wow. Yeah. That's exciting.
I mean, on a given day, and there's other days, there's things that you have to do that wouldn't, like that, doing this today,
right,
or having something else you don't normally have to, go and do a podcast or do something. But on a normal given day where I just kind of chill and.
Yeah, I've even loved the podcast you've been doing. I loved you on Bill Maher's Club Random. I watched the whole thing.
Oh, thank you.
Loved it. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I love watching comedians talk, like Jerry Seinfeld's Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. Like, there's something about
I've been trying to get on that show. I've been trying to get on that show forever, and Jerry's a fan of mine, so it's not that he wouldn't want me on, but they stopped making it.
It was such a good show.
Of course, right when I go to talk to him about being on it, he's like, well, we don't do them anymore. If we had to do them, we do. So I said, but I got the car. And he's like, my impression of Seinfeld's not that good. Who are these people? Why do they have these cars or something? So I said, I have this idea. It's not as good as this, though. This is good. This is not good. I tried to get myself on the show, and he's like, he goes, yeah, I love you. No problem. I said, but I got the car. And he says, what car? I said, you know how every episode starts out with the car coming down the street, and you have to guess. Well, today's guess matches the 67 Buick so and so, old and slow like him or something. So I was going to say, I have the car. I don't have it, but I can get it.
Which car would it be? It would have to be something.
Well, no, it's a car. It's in New Zealand.
Oh,
and it's a carrot. The whole car is a carrot, but it's an actual car.
Oh,
that you need to do.
And
awesome.
someone sent it to me, and I'm like, you got to get this, right? And I'm like, I didn't even know like where is it, and we looked at it's like in New Zealand, and it's an actual carrot. So he was like all jazzed. He's like, "Do you have that? Do you have that card?" And I said no, but I'll if you get me on the show, I'll get it. And he goes, "But you don't have it." And I said, "No, I'll get it though. You get me on the show. I'll drive it back from New Zealand."
I'll be on the ship with it. I will be on the ship.
Yeah. No, I'm going to drive it back all the way. A carrot can. So,
Oh my God.
but he was all jazzed. He goes, "Man, that would be funny. Imagine the show starts and you see this carrot coming down the road." And he's like, "Today's guest says, do we need him to say anything?" You know?
Yeah. Do you need any introduction with that?
And I stop and I open the door and I go, "Get in." He's like, "I'm not getting in that.
Yeah.
I'm not getting in that. Come on, get in. I'm not getting carrot card."
I can see it. We need to make it happen. That's too good.
He was all jazzed. It would have been so funny, but who knows? They might go back and do some more of those. I don't know.
Oh, well, we hope so. And Scott, Carrot Top, I feel like you're just awesome. And thank you so much for doing this. We're so excited to talk to you.
You guys are awesome. No, you guys are so sweet. I appreciate all the love and the fun. That was fun. It was fun.
So much fun.
And if you're ever in Vegas, we're there for 6 years, so you got time.
Okay.
We're coming. Adrienne, we got to go to a show.
Sister duo. We're coming out.
I love it.
Thank you.